the number one question is Devin Haney the same fighter after the Ryan Garcia performance and fight? In this video, that's what I want to break down and take y'all through it, give you guys some opinions to think about. Is Devin Haney the same fighter? Now, ultimately, we will not know until May 2nd. So I think if anybody is out there saying they know 100% what it is and what it ain't, then they're lying. Because how could you know with all certainty? You're not Devin Haney. So how would you know with all certainty one way or the other? So I think at the end of the day, all we could do is kind of speculate. Again, it is pure speculation. Anybody who's saying otherwise cannot be trusted. You don't know until you know for sure. But I still want to talk about it because I think it's a very important and interesting question, and 2 weeks out or so we'll get the answer. So for me, what I'm hearing from Devin Haney is kind of a mixed bag, to be honest. There are elements, sometimes he does an interview and he'll say a couple things that make it sound like, hey, perhaps he's learned from the Ryan Garcia fight and performance. He said that, I think it was the roundtable that they did on Ring, and he said there were some flaws that he had and he buttoned them up in training camp. So that could be a good sign. Like, okay, he's learned from these mistakes. He learned from the left hook and, really the criticism that he's received offline, and he's looking to make a statement. That's what he basically said. So that sounds all fine and well. But then there's elements of what he is saying and doing that it still raises questions. And I tell you guys all the time, for me, boxing is 85-95% mental, right? There's fighters who are bigger, stronger, faster, and maybe even more naturally talented. The difference is, in certain fights, somebody could have an insane willpower and outwork you, outgrind you, frustrate you, break you mentally, and win a fight like that as well. I've seen it. I've seen so many fights where, if we're being honest, this guy is more advanced or skillful than this guy. However, that guy ends up losing to a less skilled person who just outgrinds them. Or sometimes what you see with skilled fighters is, if you get a guy rugged enough with enough determination, can take a shot, doesn't go away easily, things like that, it can be very discouraging. If you're used to being a skilled fighter or a guy with power and some skills, and boxer puncher will say, and a opponent just won't go away, that's highly discouraging. Or I've also seen in boxing where some fighters can dish it out, but they cannot take it. And they're front runners, they're breadwinners. So front runners, when things are working out their way, they're good. Everything's perfect. I don't really have no problems. I'm able to deal with this and contend with this. However, the first sign of resistance, sometimes they falter. And I think we've seen that with Sergey Kovalev. Kovalev, he was a front runner. When he was knocking guys out in the crusher and devastating people with his power, overwhelming them with his boxing ability and his power in his prime, he looked very, very formidable. However, when he met Andre Ward in the ring and he dropped him, he was never able to capitalize on it beyond dropping him and fully put him down again. Even in the second fight, he only dropped him once. He never did it again. And that's a mark of a great legendary fighter in Andre Ward. The fact that you got one over on me and you can never do that again. We also seen it with Floyd Mayweather when he fought Sugar Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley had a brilliant second round, hurt Mayweather perhaps worse than anybody, but it's not about hurting someone, it's about finishing the job and what do you do next? And in both instances, Mosley and Kovalev were not able to ever duplicate that success. Now it's going to be a pivotal moment in Devin Haney's career because we're going to really get to see what it is. We get to see as fans what that texture's worth. And we're going to see what you're made of because you're fighting Jose Ramirez, who's Mexican-American. The last style that gave you a lot of problems was Ryan Garcia, a guy similar in age with combination punching, things like that. Jose Ramirez is a bit older than Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, so there is that. However, coming off of that performance, I think this is an interesting fight, more interesting than people are leading to believe, because for me, it's a crossroads fight for both combatants. So anytime it's a crossroad fight, you got to be willing to expect the unexpected. Now, for Devin Haney, again, some of what he's saying sounds good. It sounds like he's confident and embracing his mistakes, but there's other actions he's taking that leave me with more questions, and ultimately I need to see how he looks on May 2nd with a step down version of a Ryan Garcia, meaning less power, less speed, less momentum, things like that, to really know where Devin Haney heads from here on. I told you after the Ryan Garcia fight, Devin was in between a rock and a hard place, and I still believe that. Even if he gets past Ramirez, that just sets you up with a rematch to the guy that left hooked you down. So, you know, there's a lot of questions that will be answered on that given night. The other thing that's interesting, that makes it interesting, is Ramirez just fought against Barbosa, although it was a loss, and Devin and Ryan have been out the ring for a year. So how will both of them look with that year plus layoff and in a new weight class? So there's some risks that are being taken, and ultimately we got to see how it plays out. But for me, I'm definitely going to be checking because, like I said, boxing is 85-95% mental and how you bounce back, and we're going to see that about Devin Haney. So some of the things that he has done that's a little bit sus to me, as far as like, is he the same, is just arguing with people online and stuff like that. If you really don't care what people are saying, then I feel like you wouldn't necessarily engage in some of these social media conversations with everybody that says something bad about you. The other thing is, I've noticed this. I've seen more Devin Haney shirtless flexing pictures than I've ever seen before. And for me, that's not a great sign. That's not a great sign because it looks like you are trying to almost intimidate Jose Ramirez, or you feel your body is filling out and you're trying to show muscles like that means something in the world of boxing, and like it's a preview of a coming attraction because you look in shape or you look muscular. You know what I mean? Like for example, you look at David Benavidez, right? He's not just sitting around and posting a bunch of shirtless pictures, but we know when it comes to fight, he shows up and he can bang and he hurts guys. You know what I mean? Devin Haney is looking like he's trying to add to the intimidation factor. Like literally, he keeps posting shirtless pictures like as if it's a huge statement in and of itself. But the reality is people have questions about, are you the same fighter? Them muscle pictures ain't gonna show much and ain't gonna do much. It reminds me of Anthony Joshua. He was posting pictures right before Andy Ruiz and he was looking brolic. He was looking like maybe bigger than he's ever looked. And then what happened in the fight with Andy Ruiz? You know what I mean? He got jacked up and lost, and Andy Ruiz enhanced his star power just from that one fight. So for me, it's going to take more than like ego Weight Watcher style muscle pictures. Just keep posting pictures showing you have a six pack and you look more vascular than anything else. That doesn't prove nothing. We have to see how you're looking when you take a punch, because guess what? Jose Ramirez is training with Robert Garcia, and I'm not seeing a bunch of posts or talk or banter or interviews. It looks like he's just working. So food for thought. We gonna see May 2nd.